Hello, welcome to Sheepdog Says. Today I want to talk about the Infinity War movie again that's coming out on, it's actually coming out at midnight tonight. I want to do a bit of a preview video because I'm seeing it Friday 6 p.m. so I'm thinking Friday's video will probably be more of a reaction video. I want to see whether any of my predictions are true, whether, part of me wants to know what's going to happen because they're originally going to do Infinity War Part 2 next year, and from what I understand, that's not happening anymore. They've just called it Untitled Avengers Film or Avengers 4 or something like that. Now, this is going to be spoiler free, mainly because I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the films at all. I've read the comic. My biggest concern, which I'll get straight off the bat, is that it will follow the comic to the letter, which I don't think it will because nothing else has so far. And I feel like following the comic would be a major A, cop-out and lazy writing, but B, it just wouldn't translate as well. One of my colleagues and friends said to me that Infinity War is his favourite comic of all time, so I went and rented it out and read it, borrowed it and read it. So, so I could be knowledgeable and get a head start and learn a bit about the lore and Thanos and all of this. And I gotta say that I wasn't that impressed. I mean, when I spoke to him, he said to me, "Oh, do you know what? I've never really thought about it. The ending isn't very satisfactory. Again, I'm not going to go into any major details, but it felt a little bit like they wrote it into an unbeatable corner and then just went and ended it." Now, I don't think the films are going to do that, as I say. I feel like the films are built up for too long now. They must know that just having it all kind of whittle off in the last few minutes, the comic feels like it was the calibre of some Doctor Who villains where he defeats them by... There's no magic wands or anything like that, but in Doctor Who he's always got the screwdriver, he just kind of waves around and it does whatever thing it does that causes him to win. And it almost feels like in the Infinity War comic, it's not a magic wand, it's not something anyone does, it's just kind of the situation gets to a point where it just kind of resolves a certain way and you kind of like, but you've built up for this. This has all just happened really abruptly in a silly way, and I feel let down. And I feel like the comics did that at a time when maybe things weren't at the bar wasn't as high, the expectations weren't as high. There was no pressure on them to deliver this amazing ending. And I feel like if they did that in the film, it wouldn't work at all. Now, what I do expect to happen is that we know that the Avengers have built up as far as they are at this point. There's lots of things they've discovered along the way. There's lots of, the whole point is that Thanos has been gathering the gems for the Infinity Gauntlet, which he plans to wear. Wearing that gives him all the different powers over different realms. So it's like time and space, the hearts and minds of people, unlimited strength and destruction, and all sorts of things like that. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but it's... they all represent a different thing. So if he takes one out, it doesn't have like that power or that realm of strength or whatever. So the idea is he's already quite strong and quite beefy, and he could go toe to toe with the Hulk and he'd probably be all right. But with his I don't know, destructive sort of gem in there, is that elevated level. I'm intrigued to see how he fights the Hulk, because the Hulk's supposed to just get stronger forever, indefinitely, no matter how angry he gets. So it's almost one of those where he surely can't be beaten, but they'll have to just take him out. The way I see the film going is it's got to start with some kind of minor event or some sort of intro of, Thanos is about or is coming. The Guardians already know of him. They already know that he's a horrific person. I mean, his daughter's one of the Guardians. His other daughter's the Karen Gillan character, who's kind of been sort of half a baddie, half fighting with the Guardians, that kind of thing. And, it's kind of like they already know he's bad, and something's going to have to happen to introduce him to the rest of the Avengers. But they're going to be the people who are like, yeah, we're already aware of this. We're already dealing with it. Thanks very much. They've not really crossed yet. So I think the start of the film's got to be around them kind of combining forces and meeting and realising they're on the same side and they're working together. Maybe even if it's not fully intentional at first, it's going to have all that humour. Rocket Raccoon's probably not going to willingly go and work with the Avengers and just be like, yeah, we're all on the same side. It's interesting to think that they've not really, until I think Thor Ragnarok, the timeline's not really matched up from those films. But also, they've not seen each other for ages. You know, Thor's not been around for any of the major stuff that's been going on for a long time. But at this point, it's like they're all going to come back together and just be like, oh, there's that massive thing going on there, and we've got to sort it out. Now, I feel like the film can't waste too much time preparing for it, which seems like an odd thing to say, because in reality, they'd have to prepare. I guess that's why Black Panther was such a good, well-placed film, because I was saying to a friend of mine, it almost feels cheeky that what they've basically done is they've gone, oh, here's like a decade's worth of history for this cinematic universe, and then right at the end, they're oh, by the way, there's this whole, population in Wakanda who have this amazing technology that dramatically enhances the rest of the Avengers and gives them shields and weapons and machinery and so forth that they would have otherwise not had. I'm a little bit gutted that all the berries got destroyed in Black Panther, because what I really wanted to see was what would happen if they gave one of them to the Hulk. I almost hope, from a geeky perspective, that there's someone that maybe has got a stash of them somewhere and he says, you go on, everyone have one of these, it'll elevate you, because that would be a really good twist. It's not something that I remember happening in the comics or anything. I don't remember Black Panther really being in the comics at all at this point, but I just was trying to think of ways, like, so if you think about, just as a bit of an aside, in the Injustice comics, where Superman's become bad and all the other heroes are trying to take him down, they make and synthesize this pill that makes all of the different members of the Justice League able to go toe-to-toe with a Kryptonian, so that they can't, because obviously otherwise without that little pill, Superman just snaps Batman's neck before he's got a chance to even think. Whereas with the pill, they can punch each other out and it's not a problem. So I'm thinking these things that Black Panther took in his film seem like the perfect like MacGuffin that he can just be like, yeah, I've got this stash just, in a sack, and he just hands them all out and they all take one, and suddenly they're all like, okay, now I can take a few punches. They're not indestructible, but they heal a bit quicker, they whatever a bit quicker and that sort of thing. But I'd be surprised if that was still in it, literally because somebody burned the field of them down in the film. So I think they've almost ruled out their own easy solution. Molly, stop. Sorry, my dog's just deciding to just scratch her neck. I think that it seems a bit too easy to just have the Hulk be like, I'm really strong and I'm going to fight, and he's not got a problem or whatever. I don't see how like Iron Man suits are going to remotely withstand any of this. So I feel like there is a lot of, they're going to have to hold back. They're going to have to fight from afar. There's going to have to be lots of proxy battles going on. I don't really see how any of the Guardians haven't really got a leg to stand on with this. It seems obvious to me, and again, this is not a spoiler, this is pure speculation, but it seems obvious to me that they're going to think they've got a plan. They're going to go for Thanos. They're going to really think they've got something sorted, and because they're the heroes, they've solved it, and it's all good. And they're going to get their backsides handed to them. I would be shocked if this film ended with any victory for the Avengers. I'd be shocked if it didn't end with Thanos just lowering himself into a throne and laughing. And, we've already seen the preemptive kind of shots of the Captain America shield all bent and all the different like trophies of all the heroes that he's defeated. I don't think we're going to see many of them like specifically die. My bet, if I was putting money on it, I would say that we'll probably see the death of someone like Captain America, which is probably an easy one. I would bet that we'd probably see the end of Iron Man's Mrs. What's her name? Pepper, Pearl, Potts, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm such a loser. I do know these names, but I'm getting a blank when I'm on the spot like this. I'm trying to think who else we would see the end of. I mean, I think that what we're gonna, my guess again is that we're gonna see the defeat. We're gonna see a whole host of films set alongside or in the past. So Captain Marvel looks like it's set in the past, so that's probably like a, meanwhile this stuff's going on, and perhaps like Nick Fury and Hawkeye and people like that are maybe off hunting for Captain Marvel because she's got some powers that might come in useful. I think the Spider-Man sequel happens in the gap, so I assume something must kick off in his life. That means he has to go off and deal with that. Whilst I'm hoping that we'll see some of these films with Thanos looming over everybody. Like, we'll see a whole Spider-Man film going on Earth, but with the realization that this warlord is just hanging over Earth, just kind of getting ready to just snuff us out at the drop of a hat. And if they set the whole Spider-Man film in that kind of scenario, that would be quite cool. Because if they just set it on its own in the same timeline, but they don't even acknowledge the fact that Thanos is there, then that seems really dumb, because they built this perfect universe. We've got Ant-Man and Wasp supposedly happening in this, but that's so small that we could probably get away with that not being too involved. But again, I'm assuming that Avengers 4, I think it's 4, yeah. No, this is 4. 5, the next film after this one, I'm assuming that'll be the we're all back and we're better than before. But it feels like there's this whole extra level of celestial heroes that we don't have yet. So it feels like we're nowhere near the ability to go and actually fight Thanos and beat him. I'm so excited that this film's happening on Friday. I feel like I need to do some revision on like where the Infinity Stones are, who's got them, or guesses around where they might be. I'm convinced that Heimdall from Thor's home planet, it's probably Asgard's probably got one. I'm pretty certain he probably dies. A little bit of that's because I keep seeing articles about how he wants a bigger role in the universe, so I feel like it's the opposite. They're trying to throw us off the scent. I've already said I think Pepper Potts will die. I don't think she's got a gem. I just think it's something that'll upset Iron Man and maybe force him to reconsider. I think Captain America, as I said, is good as dead. I wonder whether the Wakandans might have a stone. It seems like maybe some of their power might come from one, so it'd be a good way to almost disable them. It adds a bit of drama in for Black Panther too when that eventually happens, if Thanos has stolen one of their most important gems that makes them powerful. The Vision's he's absolutely guaranteed to be dead, because obviously he's got an Infinity Gem in his head. So without him dying, Thanos can't get to full power. I'm trying to think. The Collector has a few of them, or did, so he'd probably be on the chopping block. I don't think Loki will die. I think that would be a travesty if he did, but obviously he might try and align himself. I wonder whether there'll be this whole, oh look, Loki's aligned himself with Thanos thing and then he'll turn out to be a goodie again, but that seems a bit played out, that he's been good and bad several times throughout the series. I'm trying to think who else could potentially die. I think Iron Man's absolutely safe. I think Spider-Man's absolutely safe. Hawkeye's not even in it. Black Widow surely can't die. It's virtually impossible for Hulk to die. Thor, I don't even really get how he can have his right eye done. I'd be surprised if they killed him, but I feel like he's got the syndrome that a lot of characters get, where if he's lost an eye, or if someone loses a limb in a program, you're almost certain they're not going to be around for long, because the cost of constantly CGIing out an arm or an eye. I know he could just wear an eye patch, but I feel like maybe they'd kill him off because it would be a tragic loss. I don't see them really topping Thor Ragnarok as a film. His trilogy seems to be done. I don't know. It'd be an outside chance for me to just kind of to say maybe he goes in all cocky, he can't be beaten or whatever, and then boom, he's beaten. What's there really to drag on in his story? Asgard isn't really a story anymore. Loki can just be there as a character if he wants to be. Valkyrie's just there. She could be any member. She doesn't have to be around Thor all the time. I hadn't really thought this through, but he'd be an interesting one. I feel like we've already got the Captain America replacement lined up anyway. I think that's pretty much a given. I don't think anyone else is particularly at risk. I'm wondering now, am I going to be coming out on Friday weeping because I've lost Thor, who bar none, is pretty much my favourite of the Avengers. And Ragnarok is bar none the best film that they've done. If that's the case, then crikey, I don't really know what to think. I can't see them doing, Captain America 4 or Thor 4 or anything like that. So I guess it's got to be, innit? I mean, he hasn't even got his hammer anymore, has he? So what can he even fight with? I feel bad now. I feel like that's all I'm going to be thinking through the entire film, that it has to be him. It has to be him, Captain America, Heimdall. Maybe Heimdall and Thor will die together. The Vision. Yeah, I reckon that'll probably be it. Because it's a cast of, what, like 80? I'm disappointed that S.H.I.E.L.D. won't be in it, really. I'm guessing there won't be. I think it would have been said by now. But obviously, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, kind of spawned from the first Avengers film. It's a shame that they won't, Coulson and the gang won't be involved in this one, because I feel like that would have been awesome. They're currently going through this weird time travel-y, timey-wimey thing in season 5, I think it is, which is awesome. It's a great show. Like, if you've not seen that in a while, go back and watch it all the way through. It's fantastic. It just kind of goes alongside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although they've been less involved. I did read recently that Disney really want to keep it going because they want to incorporate it back in, which is interesting because it makes me think that they may be involved later on. I hope they are, that'd be so good, if they're part of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But no, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'd love to hear your theories in advance. Please don't spoil it for me or anyone. I'm not seeing it till 6 o'clock Friday. Please don't put any spoilers in the comments because other people won't have seen it. I've avoided spoilers. I've even avoided saying how the comic ends. If you want to know, go and read it. It's not that long. You could get it done before the weekend and you could watch it and see how it compares. I think this is going to be one of the... I'm hoping and I'm assuming and I'm praying that this is one of the rare examples of where the film massively beats the comics. I feel like the only difference is where it's let down slightly is we don't have Wolverine and the X-Men involved where they were in the comics, and there's certain heroes like Silver Surfer and people like that that aren't involved in this that were involved in the comics, and I wonder how their changes and influences and so forth are going to be made up for. But I guess we're just going to have an all-out battle. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. I'm in row B though, so I'm going to be sat like this, just craning. I'm going to have neck ache. I might try and do a straight after the film reaction where I film my wife and ask her questions. It depends how big the queue is outside. I don't want to walk past and do like a Darth Vader reveal to anyone waiting in the queue and upset them. But I might try and get my wife's opinions in the car. I'll film her and then film myself and then talk about it and then do a proper video tomorrow on Friday night. But yeah, let me know your guesses. Don't spoil it or I'll be gutted. And yeah, let's hope it's a great film. Thanks for watching. I apologise for anyone who's been greatly offended by my lack of knowledge. I actually paused midway through, you'd have seen the bump, because I was trying to say Heimdall and I couldn't get his name right and I was just blurting out the wrong name. I was getting it vaguely right, but it was just gobbledygook. I think I've covered off all my notes. I just think it's going to be, introductions, preparation, fail, and then the big film will be in a couple of years' time. It's very telling by the fact that there's no films in between about most of the characters. But I think that's awesome. It'd be even better if they just revealed, oh look, we've made all these other films we didn't tell you about. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts. All right, and like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Cheers.